Roxy Xebec is one of the most intriguing characters in all of One Piece. Even though we've only heard like 3 things about him in the entire story, people are coming up with such crazy theories because we believe that Rox had a huge impact on the past in the One Piece world. In this video, I want to cover the origin of Roxy Xebec and what actually happened at the God Valley incident. First, let's establish some things that we actually know about Rox. Rox is one of the more powerful pirates that we know of in the One Piece world. His all-star crew consisted of the likes of Big Mom, Whitebeard, and a young Kaido, all former or current Yonko. Rox made his impact on the seas over 40 years ago, but unexpectedly came to an end at the God Valley incident 38 years ago. Monkey D. Garp teamed up with Gold D. Roger to take on Rox and his powerhouse crew. Garp and Roger ended up winning this battle after killing Rox, but Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Kaido managed to get away alive. Unlike when Roger was captured and executed, Rox was erased from the history of the world. Why would the world government spend so much time trying to cover up the history of Roxy Xebec when on the other hand they put Roger's execution on display to show off their power? The only logical explanation to this is something happened at the God Valley incident that the world government didn't want the world to know. To figure out what really happened at the God Valley incident, we need to look into what Rox's goals and ambitions were. In Sengoku's reflection at the Reverie, we found out that Rox's goal was to become king of the world, and that he dabbled in the forbidden history of the Void Century. If Rox had some knowledge of the Void Century, why was his goal not to find out the rest of the forbidden history like everyone else in One Piece? Well, this is where my own theory comes into place, and that's that I believe that Roxy Xebec was born in Laugh-Tale. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm crazy for saying that, so I'm going to share with you a whole theory that I built around the God Valley incident and why it makes sense that Rox was born in Laugh-Tale. The closest we've really come to having an uninhabited island in One Piece is when we visited Gaimon in the East Blue. Otherwise, we had Punk Hazard, which really wasn't uninhabited because Caesar and Law and all the children were living there. And there's no reason to really think that there couldn't be people that were native to Laugh-Tale. We do only know of 2 outsiders to step foot on Laugh-Tale, and that's Joy Boy and Goldie Rogers' crew. But no one really thought about people that were native there from leaving the island. If Rox was born and grew up on Laugh-Tale, then he would have already read the poneglyphs and known what happened. I think that Rox knew of the prophecy of the reincarnation of Joy Boy and the dawn of the new world, but he didn't want to wait, so he decided to become king of the world himself. Now let's connect this to a place that we know Rox has been, and that's God Valley during the God Valley incident. Now we don't really know why Rox was at God Valley, but I'll give you my theory on why I think he was there and what actually happened during the God Valley incident. So I think the reason that Rox was at God Valley was to get the devil fruit that the celestial dragons used to take over the world during the Void Century. And that devil fruit is none other than the one that we know Big Mom got at God Valley and gave to Kaido, which is the fish fruit model Azure Dragon. And yes, I think the world nobles used the fish fruit model Azure Dragon and the fish fruit model Peach Dragon to take over the world during the Void Century. And that's how they got the name Celestial Dragons. And yes, you heard me right, I'm considering Momonosuke's version of Kaido's devil fruit to be a completely different devil fruit. And I believe that this is the devil fruit that the Gorosei were talking about hadn't been awakened in centuries. This was the fruit that they were hiding its true name from the annals of history. I think that Momo's fruit, unlike Kaido's, if it was eaten by a normal person, would be a fish fruit model koi. And this connects to an ancient Chinese legend of a koi that climbs up to the top of a waterfall, turns into its true form of a dragon. And this fruit was considered to be a failure by Vegapunk, because Vegapunk could not get an ordinary user to awaken it to its true dragon form. But why was Kaido's devil fruit at God Valley, and how did Rox know that it would be there? So now let's think back of things that happened during the Void Century, and reasons why the Celestial Dragons would want to travel to God Valley. Assuming that it's the Celestial Dragons that still have possession of the fish fruit model Azure Dragon. Now we do know that the world nobles really love their slaves, and who could possibly be a better slave than the previous gods of the world, which is the Lunarians. And where better than the Lunarians to end up after being cast down from the Red Line than God Valley? If the Lunarians inhabited God Valley after they were cast down from the Red Line, This would give the Celestial Dragons a reason to travel back and forth to God Valley, and that is to get new Lunarian slaves. Rox then would just have to wait at God Valley until the Celestial Dragon with the devil fruit he was looking for came to get a new slave. Now we can assume that Rox was successful in killing the Celestial Dragon to get the fish fruit model Azure Dragon, because we know that Kaido is the current possessor of that fruit and he got it at God Valley. But the problem was that Monkey D. Garp and Gold D. Roger then teamed up to take on Rox, and unfortunately for him, he didn't make it. Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard, however, were able to flee from God Valley, and Garp was unable to get the fish fruit model Azure Dragon back, because the world nobles had lost the devil fruit that they used to take over the world during the Void Century. They chose to erase Rox from history instead of putting his death on display like they did for Gold D. Roger. I had thought for a long time that Rox D. Xebec was from Laugh-Tale just because of his motivations of not wanting to find out what happened during the Void Century and instead wanting to become king of the world. I had a revelation during a recent One Piece chapter where we saw King's backstory and his relation to Kaido. It was when King said that he thought Kaido was Joy Boy that I was finally able to make the connection that King thought Kaido was Joy Boy because he was the possessor of the fish fruit model Azure Dragon, and King was aware of the model of Devil Fruit that the Celestial Dragons used to take over the world during the Void Century. And since Kaido had this fruit, King thought he was the one that would be able to bring about change. If we want to add an additional piece of headcanon, it is also possible that the dragon that Ryuma slayed 400 years ago was actually the previous user of the fish fruit model Peach Dragon, and it was after that point that the fish fruit model Peach Dragon had never made it back into circulation. I think that specifically, if what I said earlier about Momo's Devil Fruit being the one that hadn't been awakened in centuries is true, then that would confirm that Momo is in fact Uranus, as he would be the ruler of the skies. Well guys, this is about all the information that I was able to string together that connects to Rox D. Xebec, to Laugh-Tale, and what actually happened at the God Valley incident, as well as what the fruit that the Gorosei are talking about was erased from history. Hey everyone, it's AK from the Undercover Weebs podcast. This is our first organized One Piece theory video. If you like the way it was set up, please let us know, leave a comment, or join our Discord and give us feedback there. Rox being from Laugh-Tale is a theory that I've had for a really long time, and you may have heard us talk about it in a few of our podcast episodes, but there were some recent events in the manga that I really felt helped the theory overall, and was finally able to come up with enough evidence to put together this video for you guys. Making theories is something that Noah and I really enjoy doing, especially around One Piece, and there will likely be a lot more One Piece theory videos coming out in the future, so let us know if you like this format or if you would rather have us ramble on like we do in our podcast episodes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.